Welcome to our defense briefing show. Today we've got a lively lineup of international and domestic updates. First up, the US Senate has come together to strike a deal that prevents a government shutdown, extending DHS funding for 2 weeks while negotiations on immigration reforms continue. President Trump is on board, urging bipartisan support, but the fight over immigration enforcement remains lively. Next, tensions escalate in Europe and the Middle East. The EU has designated Iran's Revolutionary Guard as a terrorist organization, sparking Iran's warning of hazardous consequences. This move aligns the IRGC with groups like al-Qaeda, and Iran's is not holding back, warning of severe repercussions including energy price hikes amidst regional tensions and US threats. Finally, in Latin America, the US is flexing its military muscles. After the dramatic capture of Venezuela's Maduro, regional experts warn that America's assertive tactics could threaten sovereignty and stability. With ongoing military presence and strategic ambitions, the region faces a future where power politics might overshadow diplomacy. Please continue to watch for more detailed insights. The Washington Post reports that the U.S. Senate narrowly avoided a government shutdown by reaching a tentative agreement to fund the government while continuing negotiations on immigration enforcement reforms, particularly concerning the operations of IC and the Department of Homeland Security. The deal involves extending DHS funding at current levels for 2 weeks and removing the Homeland Security bill from a broader package of 6 spending bills, which are to be considered separately. President Trump expressed swift support for the deal, urging bipartisan approval, while Democrats and some Republicans voiced grievances over the package, highlighting the tense political climate. The agreement aims to prevent a partial shutdown, though it leaves unresolved the future of DHS funding, with negotiations set to resume shortly. CNN highlights Iran's fierce response to the European Union's decision to designate the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps (IRGC) as a terrorist organization, a move prompted by the IRGC's role in suppressing protests and its involvement in regional conflicts. Iran denounced the EU's action as illogical and irresponsible, accusing Western powers of acting under US and Israeli influence, and warned of hazardous consequences that could escalate regional tensions. The IRGC, established after Iran's 1979 revolution, commands a substantial force with elite units like the Quds Force and a paramilitary wing called Basij, which has played a key role in domestic repression. Iran's military expansion, including new drones and naval exercises in strategic waterways, underscores its defiance amid rising tensions with the West, as U.S. officials emphasize that military options remain on the table to counter Iran's growing assertiveness. Nikkei Asia discusses the broader geopolitical implications of President Trump's rejection of international law and his aggressive foreign policy stance, which has emboldened rival powers like China and Russia, while undermining traditional alliances. Trump's disdain for rules-based order and his emphasis on strength over diplomacy have destabilized regional security, especially in the Indo-Pacific. Countries like the Philippines and Taiwan, historically reliant on U.S. support and international law to counter Chinese expansionism, now face increased vulnerability as Beijing's military modernization accelerates and regional tensions escalate. The article warns that Trump's approach risks creating a law of the jungle world, where smaller nations are left more exposed to coercion and interference, potentially leading to a more dangerous global landscape driven by power politics rather than rules. The foreign policy article paints a vivid picture of the United States' aggressive military posture in Latin America following the daring raid that captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. This unprecedented operation marked a turning point, signaling a shift towards more assertive U.S. interventions in the region. The Trump administration's rhetoric and actions, including maintaining a substantial military presence with thousands of troops and a fleet of warships, underscore a desire to reassert dominance under the guise of protecting American interests. The so-called Trump corollary to the Monroe Doctrine emphasizes that no Latin American country is off-limits, with threats and military readiness aimed at regime change in Cuba and the destabilization of regimes perceived as adversaries. Despite the absence of large-scale invasions, the U.S. continues to use targeted strikes, military buildups, and economic coercion, particularly in Venezuela, to exert influence, all while navigating regional tensions and internal debates over the long-term strategy and potential escalation. Meanwhile, the Yahoo U.S. report reveals the Israeli Navy's covert and technologically advanced operations behind enemy lines in Gaza, showcasing a significant evolution in Israel's military capabilities. The newly acquired Nahshon-class amphibious ships, which are capable of transporting large numbers of soldiers, vehicles, and supplies deep into hostile territory, have been instrumental in surprise attacks and logistical support during ongoing conflicts with Hamas. These vessels, which arrived later than planned but are now a vital addition, allow Israel to conduct rapid, clandestine amphibious assaults and resupply missions that were previously impossible with older craft. Senior officers describe how these ships operate in tandem with Air Force cover and intelligence, executing complex, secret missions that reshape Israel's tactical options in Gaza and potentially beyond, including threats from Hezbollah. This technological leap signifies a strategic shift towards more flexible, covert operations, enhancing Israel's ability to surprise enemies and sustain prolonged campaigns while maintaining operational secrecy. Finally, the BBC piece offers a sobering account of the devastating human toll in Gaza, where the war initiated by Hamas's attack on southern Israel has resulted in over 70,000 Palestinian deaths, according to a senior Israeli security source. This figure aligns with reports from the Hamas-run Health Ministry and international organizations, despite Israel's previous skepticism of such numbers. The conflict, which began on October 7, 2023, has turned Gaza into a landscape of rubble, with over 71,660 casualties reported by Hamas and ongoing hostilities that have claimed Israeli and Palestinian lives alike. The article underscores the tragic scale of the violence, the contested figures of civilian casualties, and the complex challenge of accurately counting the dead amid ongoing military operations. It also highlights the deepening humanitarian crisis and the stark reality that beneath the political and military strategies, countless civilians bear the brunt of this prolonged and brutal conflict. The Australian Broadcasting Corporation reports a recent incident involving an Australian Defence Force member who has been charged after a collision with a civilian vehicle in Brisbane's northwest. The 25-year-old woman driving a military truck that rolled over was accused of driving without proper control following the crash on Sanford Road in Ferny Hills. The incident resulted in minor injuries to a woman in the other vehicle, while the military driver was unscathed. The woman is scheduled to appear before Brisbane Magistrates Courts, and the Defence Force has acknowledged the situation but refrained from comment due to ongoing legal proceedings. Yahoo US covers a powerful act of protest in Barcelona, where activists unfurled a massive 1,000 square meter canvas depicting Palestinian girl Hind Rajab, who was believed to have been killed during an Israeli military operation in Gaza. The protest marked the second anniversary of her death, which drew global attention after audio recordings surfaced of Hind pleading for help during her final moments. The campaign, led by the group Avaz and supported by Hind's mother, aimed to highlight the plight of children caught in the Gaza conflict, which erupted after a deadly attack by Hamas on Israel. The tragic story of Hind initially surviving a severe injury before succumbing has become a symbol of the innocent victims of ongoing violence. Yahoo US also reports on the confirmation hearings of Lieutenant General Joshua Rudd, the nominee to lead a U.S. National Security Agency. Rudd emphasized his commitment to adhering to the law and the Constitution in the use of NSA surveillance capabilities, reassuring senators that he would not allow the agency to target Americans without proper legal warrants. His extensive military background, including service in Iraq and Afghanistan, underscores his readiness to oversee critical cyber and intelligence operations. The hearing reflected concerns over potential politicization of intelligence tools, but most lawmakers expressed confidence that Rudd's nomination would be confirmed pending a Senate vote. His leadership would be vital in safeguarding national security amid rising digital threats from global adversaries. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopsis, thoughtfully curated by the 6DO team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6DO Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6DO team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6DO Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6DO Brief via email.
Waking up to wonders, tech and nature blunders. Got our rockets flying while the oceans are sighing. Lasers in the sky now, holograms we say wow. Quantum leaps and robot science news that we got. Science is awesome, so much to share from the deep sea to the stars out there. Science is awesome, everywhere, exploring the future. DNA is dancing, microbes always prancing, cure for every puzzle, genius with no muzzle. From Big Bang explosions to atoms in motion, the universe and oceans in perpetual commotion. Science is awesome, so much to share from the deep sea to the stars out there. Science is awesome, everywhere, exploring the future if you dare. Silence in the sky now, holograms we say wow. Quantum leaps and robot science news that we got. Science is awesome, so much to share from the deep sea to the stars out there. Science is awesome, everywhere, exploring the future if you dare. Science is